And away we go. Whew, fresh as a daisy. No, no, not even fresh. Not even a daisy. So just home from Soul Festival. Victorious. It was hot, and the sun was beating on me. Um, my day started very entertainingly. Well, I worked most of the day doing. Since I hung drywall last night, or carried drywall yesterday, I hung drywall tonight, which sucks. Just so you know, drywall's heavy, and putting up was no better. Anyway, um, so my ride was happy August 15th, episode 76, day 227. My ride, my lift was pretty funny. So here is the picture of me in the lift. You can see there was an air freshener or two, like right next to my head, crazy little trees. And then on the other side, it was no better. It was literally, it was just, the car was covered in them and it stunk so bad. There was so much smell of car air, evergreen trees. It was just hilarious. Good evening, Don. It was just hilarious. I have to tell you, I chuckled the entire time because I'm like, bro. And he had the windows open and it still was so strong. And I was like, I couldn't imagine closing the windows with the AC on. So I just left them open while it was still, like 90 because they were so strong scented. And I was just like, what? So I didn't really want to know why they had so many in his car. I just couldn't. He had fuzzy dice hanging from the mirror. He was blasting the radio and just oblivious to driving. It was just kind of like, doot, 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 doot. I just sat in the back. I'm like, I'm going to die. I don't know if I'm going to make it. I don't think this man is paying attention. He's just behind the wheel. I don't know if he's actually driving. He's just behind the wheel. Didn't really speak much, which was fine. I didn't need to have conversation, but it was definitely a harrowing experience, to say the least, because it just seemed like he was just oblivious. Just kind of like, and the directions were blaring like over the radio, like turn left on 18th. And I'm just like, okay, don't you wear like an earpiece or even a quieter just through the radio? It was entertaining, to say the least. And then Soul Fest was great. All sorts of fun stuff. Soul Fest. There you go. Look, I was a Soul Fest guy. I was the event staff for Soul Fest tonight, which was fun, except for being really hot because the way the booth was, it was facing west. So once the sun sort of crested and then the entire time until it set, it was just blaring in my face. With a group of other people that we were working. But it was fun. It was a really good time. There was an early rain delay for just a couple moments. And the bands and headliners were awesome. The crowd was really fun and really great. And got some good snacks. I definitely found some good snacks. I had a really good chicken sandwich. Like, it was so crispy. I was like, wow, how do you make it this crispy and this like juicy on the inside? Like flash fry or something? I don't know. It was so good. But we had fun. We had a nice time, and it was easy because it was supposed to be done at 9:45, and we were done at literally 9:46, because these guys, the people that worked this one, I had done stuff with at other festivals, and we all were just like, okay, everyone on the same page, great. So you do this, 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 and literally the guy who's the festival director came by and he's like, how you guys know? I was like, oh, we're ready. I was like, at 9:45, we'll be out in a minute. He was like, oh, okay, and we were done in like a minute. It was beautiful. So you got to love the A team. They know what they're doing. That was a beautiful thing, and I was very happy to do it. But yes, I'll do it again tomorrow with Soul Fest. So if you're in downtown Columbus, feel free to come by. I'll be at the one and only beverage station, doing beverages and listening to some good soul music. It was fun. Worth it for sure. Good people watching too. It was a good crowd. Very, very good crowd. Small footprint, but fine. Happy to have it. So, this right there. Funny enough, when I got there, someone was like, "Hey, you're the guy in the van." I was like, "That's awesome." I was like, that's hilarious. So yeah, so it was my first interaction once I got to the festival was, you're the guy in the van. I'm like, I am the guy in the van. He goes, I watched all your episodes. I was like, that's awesome. I was like, very cool. Thank you so much. He's like, did you ever get to eat? I'm like, I'm going to eat today. So yes, so go watch the episodes, make comment about me. Let's get a second season out of this so I can, have more stories to tell and direct you to watch more episodes. And maybe they'll feature me a little bit more since I am the actual co-star, right? Instead of just not getting fed. I could still not get fed, that's okay. But maybe the side adventures I think would be fun because I can go sneak off and verify other places myself, maybe. That would be a side adventure. Or I could just kind of like, at the end, just go verify and be like, I'm leaving and just go on my own adventure. I could do that. I'd love that. I would road trip and do that. That would be fun. But hey, you never know. Anyway, so yes, that was all the good stuff. Students are moving back. So my neighborhood's already raucous. I came home tonight and there was already like the kids were having a bonfire in the backyard and there was another party going on. I'm like, okay, wow. So this will be the last day I get to drive down the street and I have to take like back roads and detours to get to my house because it just becomes crazy. And nobody knows how to drive. Just so you know, I just have now accepted that completely that you're in the bicycle lane and you're driving where bicycles are. You should stop that. Just stop it now. Oh crap. I didn't look what today and tomorrow was. My bad. Hold on, I'm going to have to actually go do that real fast. Totally escaped me. I was wondering why I had a few minutes left. Oh, that's so funny. I totally blew it. Sorry. National Day. Today is National, what did I say it was yesterday? Okay, so today is National Leathercraft Day. Right, so my belt was made by a leather crafter. National Lemon Meringue Pie Day. Did not have any National Lemon Meringue Pie. And National Relaxation Day. I did not relax at all today. Maybe Sunday. No, not going to be done Sunday either. Tomorrow, though, tomorrow is what? I did not cheat and look ahead, so I can't tell you. Sorry, I totally blew this one. National Bratwurst Day. Oh, hell yes. National Bratwurst Day. I could totally eat a bratwurst tomorrow. Maybe Schmitz will have a food truck down there. Yes. National Rum Day. Ooh. Where's the captain when you need him, right? Get the little leg up going thing, Captain Morgan and his whole leg. National Airborne Day. Yeah, must be paratroopers or something. I'm not sure why. There must be something there was some airdrop that I didn't look at in history because I normally look at what the day is first and then historical events and I try and piece it together. Blew it. National Roller Coaster Day. I do have to go to Cedar Point this year. I must make a Cedar Point adventure. And I have to take my friend Dave. My friend Dave has not been to roller coasters. He's never been to a roller coaster park. And I'm like, bro, really? You come seriously? He just didn't do it as a kid and his family never did it. And I was like, you must go. You must go and experience roller coasters with me. We will have to do that. So I'm still trying and planning. I want to do a roller coaster trip before the end of the year. So Cedar Point, calling my name. Have to do it. Cedar Point trip. Must do it. It's also National Tell a Joke Day. I will tell a joke tomorrow. I will find one. What's the difference between a hippo and a Zippo? One's a little lighter. Get it? There you go. Today's National Hawaiian Shirt Day. Tomorrow is National Rum Day. I know it's National Rum Day. I saw that. And I did know it was National Hawaiian Shirt Day. It didn't say it on my list, but you told me that. And I saw some dude today wearing a Hawaiian shirt. I said, hey, it's National Hawaiian Shirt Day. And he was like, bro, seriously? He goes, every day is National Hawaiian Shirt Day. Because that's all I ever wear. And he'd walked away. And I was like, okay. It was a very festive Hawaiian shirt. Very festive. So he definitely was a Hawaiian shirt aficionado, to say the very least. He was that guy. Let's see, get that picture up, get that going. There it is. That way, if I go back to talking about the guy in the van, I'll have the picture ready to go. Like this. See, look. Guy in the van, see? Anyway. Okay. Stuff that happened. So, where did the hamburger go to dance? The meatball. Nice. Nice. I like that. That's a good one. One of those little zingers, That's like, where does the bee go? Where does a bee go to the bathroom? A BP station? Dad jokes. There you go. I'll have to come up with a bunch of one-liners for tomorrow. I'll Henny Youngman that shit. 1519, the Panama City was founded by conquistador Pedro Arias Davia. Well, of course it was. It's Panama freaking City. So conquistadors found it and partied in it back in 1519. I think your reputation stuck. I have a Panama City adventure story. We went to Panama City once on spring break with the Ohio State University Ski Club. Now, if I haven't talked enough about the Ohio State University Ski Club, back here on the wall is my lifetime membership to the Ohio State University Ski Club. Because this says Rennie Malloy is a past officer and is entitled to all privileges of the Ohio State University Ski Club. This card is the property of the issuer. And it says lifetime, valid through lifetime, office held president, last year in office 92, years in service 4. So this is like this credit card that we came up with the idea to give to the officers back then. I don't know if they do it anymore. They probably don't. I've had this thing as a cherished memory. So the ski club, when I was in school, the Ohio State University Ski Club was the largest collegiate organization in the country. Only second to it was the Sierra Club out in California. I mean, it had it was a fraternity type style drinking club that had, 2,500 members. And they were all paying members. Everyone paid $25 and you could go to every Wednesday night and drink. You like the beat joke? Thank you. And you could drink all you wanted, drink and drown every Wednesday, because the bars loved us there because they would give us the cheapest beer possible because no one went out on Wednesdays. So the bars were dead and we would pack a bar every Wednesday. And then we would go on trips for spring break and Christmas. Usually Christmas time, we'd always go to a winter destination for skiing. But spring break time, we'd go to a spring break destination for skiing and sun, surf and ski. Anyway. One of the adventures was Panama City. I think I've told one of the stories of one of those adventures, and it was just insane. It was one of those crazy ones. We did one where we went to Texas and wound up going to Mexico, but the Panama City one was also just ridiculous because again, you got, spring break and craziness, and we have this whole VIP thing going on because we bring down a couple hundred people with us. So the tour people are always like, oh, we'll take care of the officers and give you whatever you want, which is never a good thing to tell, college kids. We'll give you whatever you want. So that was one of those we'll give you whatever you want scenarios. And I still think I have videotape, old cassettes of some of those silly adventures that someday I'm going to have to go through these things and find them, because there's some pretty crazy ski stuff with the giant camera. And I know Panama City had it too, because I actually did some footage for MTV. So spring break MTV. Enough said. Anyway, so Panama City was founded in 1519 by a conquistador, and they've continued that craziness ever since. Just saying. 1620, the Mayflower set sail for from Southampton, England, with 102 pilgrims on board, headed for the New World. Now, see, I ran out of time. I was going to see how many actually made it, because I forget how many died along the way. But the whole thing, my family came over on the Mayflower. Good luck. Good job with that. I'm glad you came over from England for the New World. Now, this I found to be interesting. For the fact that there's a story with it. 1635 is the first recorded hurricane, and it hits Plymouth Colony. Now, I have a story of Plymouth. So I have a relative that lives in Plymouth still. And when I've gone there a few times to visit with family, and I went once just recently, a couple of years back, alone. Just happened to go up and visit my cousin that was up there. Had lobster and just hung out and did stuff. But the Plymouth story is as follows. And there's reason because it's a hurricane. So we were there for a family adventure with family that came from New York, that came from California, and we're in Plymouth. And unknown to us, a hurricane was coming in. The lingering end of it or a tail end of it or something. So there was this really blustery, windy, crazy night of wind and rain and everything else. And one of my relatives, we had been out, we went out not knowing there was a hurricane, and we sort of left the establishment, the wind had picked up and it was howling and it was just crazy. And we're like, oh my God. So walking back just outside the hotel, my relative falls into a bush. Okay. Now, just, it's a bush. It's a little innocuous bush. It's no big deal. Okay. But cuts his head, just a little like cut up here in his head, but it was bleeding. And I mean, he was stuck in the bush. I couldn't get him out of the bush. And the blood was, I mean, it looked like a murder. Okay. I mean, it was so bad. It was like, I got paper towels. It didn't stop. And it's just pumping and bleeding. So maybe not the best option. I called the emergency squad. So we're sitting there and we hear the ambulance start up, right? And I realized that literally across the street is the hospital. I mean, like 100 yards away. That's where the ambulance started from. I'm like, oh, that's where the hospital is. Because I mean, it's Plymouth. I don't know where the hell I am. So the ambulance literally drives like across the parking lot, across the street, and comes and picks him up. And I mean, again, the blood was just, it was insane. It wouldn't stop. He, obviously, blood thinning because of maybe drinking, but it's just not stopping. So he's got his finger on his forehead, like covering this thing. We get to the emergency room, and now the first thing that happens, the woman that is the nurse, the attending goes, "Oh, Columbus, Ohio," and I'm like, "What?" I was like, "Do I know you?" She goes, "No." She goes, "CD 101." She goes, "I'm from Columbus," and I was like, "Wait, what?" I have the radio station shirt on, and she goes, "I'm from Columbus." She goes, "The CD 101 show." I'm like, oh my God, right, because I'm not paying attention. So she just sitting there yapping, and my relative was like sitting there. She's like, "So what's going on with him?" And I explained the story that he fell into a bush, and she kind of like chuckles, like, "Really? You fell into a bush? Like, what's going on here?" So he takes his hand and moves it, and I absolutely am not exaggerating. The blood sprayed from his forehead to where his feet were, like this, like. Psst, psst, and it was like, like covering the white sheet with this little stream of blood. And she was like, "Oh, you can cover that." So he puts his fingers back on the head. And I was like, she goes, "That's just because it just got a little artery there. She'll be fine. He'll be fine." And so she just proceeds to talk about the radio station with me for like the next 15 minutes. And my relative just sitting there and he's like, "Hello, can we get this thing moving along, please?" She's like, "Oh, wait, sorry, I forgot about this. I think he got like a stitch, one stitch," and then like stumbled away. He was so mad at me for calling the emergency squad, and like has held this thing for years, going to Plymouth about that adventure. But yes, that's my crazy story of a hurricane in Plymouth. So the first hurricane that was ever recorded in Plymouth was in 1635. This one happened a little bit later. 1911, Procter & Gamble unveils Crisco. First of all, I had no idea that Procter & Gamble made Crisco because they also make shampoo. Right. Gross. And yeah, 1911 is when Crisco was shortening. So I think that's as old as the Crisco, maybe sitting in like the cabinet. I mean, because that stuff just lasts forever. It's monosaturated fats or something. So, yeah. Crisco, 1911, Procter & Gamble. And again, Procter & Gamble, like, it just, okay, it's one of those products I did not know they made, so I'm wondering if it was supposed to be something else and realized, hey, we can cook with this. What do you put in your hair? It's like, like pomade. Put it in your hair. It's great for your hair. It makes it look awesome. Wait, you can also cook with it. Or vice versa, you cook with it, or you can put it in your hair. Don't know. Oddly enough, same thing, Panama, but a different place. Panama Canal opens under budget in 1914. Now, did we pay for that? Are we supposed to be owning it again or something? I don't know. I'm confused by it. Anyway, 1914. Now, this one I just found to be interesting just because it was interesting. The hair would start sizzling in the sun. Right? I mean, it would, but it would look amazing. Nice kind of golden color. I butchered the thing, but it was like the Talleyrand Massacre. So Frank Lloyd Wright's home in Greenville, Wisconsin, or Greensville, Wisconsin. Apparently, Julian Cartler kills his mistress, her two children, four others in the house, and burns the house to the ground as a disgruntled employee. I was like, holy crap. Frank Lloyd Wright, what the hell did you do that disgruntled someone that bad that you murdered 6 people and burned your house to the ground? Bro, I was going to read into that story a little bit more, but that's just insane. So see, crazy stalker behavior isn't just for today. That happened back in 1914. Okay, so we've been crazy for a long freaking time, just so you know. 1939, The Wizard of Oz is released, and the first showing is in Grauman's Chinese Theater in Hollywood, California. We just talked about the birthday the other day of the Cowardly Lion, or was it his death day? Birthday, death day, don't know. Maybe it was both. Don't remember. Remember, there was supposed to be a hanging, someone with a noose in The Wizard of Oz. In the forest or one of the scenes. I still know people that are freaked out by The Wizard of Oz and can't watch it because it's like, the witch and everything else. I'm melting. Yeah, it's just a kind of a creepy movie. The creepiest movie, though, has to be Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, I think it is. Holy crap. The children come at... Oh, it's free. You forget how creepy it is. It is absolutely horrifying. I guess that's why I blocked it out. I think it's Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, but it is so... Yeah, The Child Catcher. Right. Oh my God, The Child Catcher and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. If you've never seen it, watch it. Or just watch the scene with The Child Catcher. It is horrifying. It's like, oh my God, this was a movie? Like, this is like, wowzer crazy. Just so you know. 1945, there was a riot in San Francisco to celebrate the end of World War II. So see, it's not just sports celebrations. We just riot over anything. We won the victory. Burn the place down. The war ended. Burn the place down. I mean, any excuse to flip cars over and burn shit, that's the way it works. You know, for a time, there was a interesting thing that went on here at Ohio State. I'm going to totally just like veer off. So there used to be this South Campus thing at Ohio State where it was all bars and it was kind of like ghetto-y. And they would put wires up, like wire, like the kind that you would use to see, like steel cable wire covered in plastic. And every like Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, the cops would string this down the street, the length of like 2 blocks on either side of the street along the telephone poles. They had hooks that were, they just like click this down and crank it down and make this taut steel cable right along the curb line. And that was to keep the kids from falling into the street that were lined up at the bars by the hundreds and thousands. Okay. I worked in one of the bars, so, you know, I got to be the bartender. What went on was that it was just, if you crossed the wire, you were arrested by the time you got to the other side of the street. And the whole crowd would be like, "Wah!" Screeching because they knew it was going to happen. The cops were going to be kind of like, "Hi, how are you?" You jaywalked. And that was, jaywalking was sort of the offense that they would pull you in on. And then, you know, if you're underage, you had underage drinking and whatever else. It was all a bad thing. But the issue being is that they changed all South Campus. They got rid of it. And they basically tore it down and built this very commercial sort of outdoor shopping mall. And when they did that, there was riots on campus, like in the fall for a couple of years. And I mean, like insane party riots that, and they were like, why is this happening? Why are we having these riots on the streets where cars are being burned and flipped over? I mean, we're talking about the cops going down the streets, shooting tear gas and knee knockers into college kids' parties because these things that spilled into the street, and they were thousands, and I mean thousands of college kids partying in the streets on a couple of these side streets. And I was like, okay, wait, now, so am I going to be the smartest guy in the room? I was like, you basically took away 3 things that, by getting rid of the bars, that was, first of all, where you're going to go, the rite of passage. It sort of was like, you go to college, you go to bars to go find dates, get drunk, have fun, do your thing, okay? So you're already interrupting the flow of this passage, or this rite of passage, okay? Yes, Who Hit the Child? Yes, I do. That was Benny Hill. But this rite to passage. And then I was like, look, there's three factors that you, in fact, have sort of thrown askew. Okay. And here's what they are. And I'm just going to explain it. And again, this is what I believe. Okay. Why there was all these riots on the university property for, like the 4 years or whatever, while they rebuilt South Campus, and sort of had to change the culture. One, you had size. The bars had limited amount of space. So once they were full, you had to wait outside. It was one in, white out. And you had, bouncers that basically, you can't go in. So size. The parties on campus, nothing. You start with a party on a front yard. It spilled into the next front yard, the next front yard, the next front yard, into the street. Okay, so that was sort of physicality. Okay. Two, now, and you're in the bars and you got out of hand, you got drunk, and you got stupid. There was bouncers there. Okay. The bouncers at that point in time, they didn't give a crap. There was no rules of etiquette. If you did stupid shit, you got your ass handed to you by these guys. I mean, yeah, like ridiculously, you got an ass beating that you would not forget anytime soon by the bouncers. And it was sort of like known, it's like, hey, you were dumb enough to do it. Well, that's what happened. And the cops were like, yeah, so what's your point? You did something dumb. They threw you out into the street, beat up. There was no one there to do that. So when someone said, hey, let's flip this car over, there wasn't someone going, I'll kick your ass if you do that. There was another dude that would say, okay, that sounds good. So then they would literally light the car on fire, light a couch on fire, flip the car over, jump on top of it. Now there's 20 people doing it. There you go. And the third was financial. When you're in the bar, you had to buy drinks and you had to have money to do it. So when you ran out of money, your drinks are $3 a piece, $2 a piece, whatever. You ran out of your $20 and you're out of luck. You're drunk, you leave, and it's like, go home. At these parties, there was no financial constraints because you could go stop at the corner store, the UDF, whatever, go buy yourself a case of beer and just put it at your feet. Now, everyone could have a case of beer at their feet, so they didn't have to worry about having somebody else supply it at the party. And again, sort of the three factors of unlimited space, no retribution, and unlimited finances allowed for these parties and these riots to occur. So that's my take on why we had riots at Ohio State University for all those years. But anyway, you don't need a whole lot of reasons to riot. They just did. The parties got out of control quickly, and they were, literally burning couches. You'd go by, and there'd be cars flipped over on the front yard, and, students like, okay. And that was what happened. 1960, a UFO was sighted by 3 California patrolmen. So they admitted to this. I didn't research anything about this because I didn't have time, but I was like, okay, so we're seeing UFOs in the 60s. We're seeing UFOs now. They're coming. So that's what's happening. I'm going to click this because the camera's going to get changed so you can look at my face on that little thing for a second. And that way I didn't have the camera screw up. Look at that. See, I saw the timer this time. But 3 California patrolmen. Don't know what kind of patrols they are. But who knows? Maybe we have that big interstellar cigar that's flying around coming toward us. 1965, the Beatles played their largest U.S. show at Shea Stadium in New York for 55,000 people. Beatles, every time I'm looking at the Beatles are in these sort of these zones of this summertime stuff when they were touring. 1968, Pirate Radio Free London begins. Now, pirate radio can't happen in the States because we're so heavily regulated by the FCC, and the fines are ridiculous. If you're like, oh, you do pirate radio, literally the fines are in the millions of dollars, and they are federal fines, so they don't forget and they don't have a short memory. They even throw you in jail. That's why you don't see a lot of pirate radio. Even if it's in international waters, the FCC is still like, no, we don't care. We're still coming after you. So that's why you don't see a lot of pirate radio or hear about it in the States. 1969, day 1 of Woodstock. So I'm sure we'll talk about more of Woodstock for the next couple of days, but it was day 1 of Woodstock, Yasgur's Farm in upstate New York, 1969. 1971, President Richard Nixon puts a 90-day freeze on wages, prices, and rent, which I was like, interesting. So that seems like that's a little overreaching to be able to put, as a president, to put a freeze on wages, prices, and rent. So I mean that definitely is getting involved with, you know, businesses, people's lives, and everything else. So I don't know why. I think we were in a depression, recession, something that was crazy in the 70s. But yeah, that's interesting to say that. Interesting. Thank you for that correct. Yes, Don, I know. Benny Hill. 1977. I found this one to be fascinating. Possible alien radio signal dubbed WOW, WOW, is heard by the Big Ear. The Big Ear is at the Ohio State University radio telescope located in Delaware, Ohio. Huh, who knew? So Ohio State heard an alien broadcast, and we also saw we had aliens in 1960. Maybe there are aliens? I don't know, but I keep reading about them. 1979, Apocalypse Now is released. Now, I love that movie. I've seen Apocalypse Now. Probably, it has to be probably one of the top movies I've watched, you know, multiple times. So I know the movie very well. Harrison Ford was in it. Most people don't know Harrison Ford was in the movie for a short, brief period. Sheen almost died in it. Dennis Hopper, they did lots and lots of cocaine apparently while in the jungles, and he almost died, had a heart attack while filming. Yeah, there's all sorts of stories about the stuff that went on during that movie. And there's so many quotable lines. You know, I love the smell of napalm in the morning. It smells like victory. Charlie, don't surf. 1995, Los Del Rio release the Macarena, something we could have all done without. But apparently we didn't, and it became a musical craze. Oh, Macarena. Now, this was interesting. So we just experienced a 8.0 earthquake in Russia. But historically, on this day in 1950, Tibet experienced the 8.6 earthquake, and in 2007, Peru experienced an 8.0 earthquake. So I don't know. Is there something that happens this time of year? Are we going through some, like the orbit of us when the planet is aligned with something that gives an extra pull or push? Remember, I'm a geology guy. I took Rocks for Jocks and actually liked it, so I remembered and learned it. So is there something that's pulling and pushing the Earth more so that we would have these huge earthquakes, or is it just ridiculous coincidence that there's 3 of the largest earthquakes in recorded history, 8.0, 8.0, 8.6, happening this time of year? Because again, we just had that one in Russia. Wondering. Worth looking out there, Mr. Scientist. The aliens just drive by. They know better to stay. Right. Yeah. They roll up the windows. They're like, nah, that place is a garbage place. Yeah, no, they don't stop. I totally get that. That's exactly what's going to happen. They just kind of do the drive by. They're like, roll up your windows. We're going past Earth. The Jackal was captured in the Sudan in 1994. So the movie The Day of the Jackal, I thought that was just a thing. I guess it was real. There really was a jackal. Who knew? I mean, there's a couple different versions of it, but I guess he really was a real character, the jackal, and really did try and assassinate the president of France. Who knew? Very interesting. Mr. Craig, speaking of the Day of the Jackal, decided one more time in 2017 to be James Bond. So I think he was a good James Bond. You know, they're all pretty good. But yeah, Daniel Craig was a good James Bond for sure in that respect. He definitely got into the part and made it seem good. Now, this is what I found to be horrifying. And in 2018, 72 72,000 people OD'd and died. 72,000 people OD'd in 2018, up 10%. And they said that most of it was prescription drugs. Do a little research about those prescription drugs. That's insane. How addictive. When I broke my shoulder and I had a surgery before I had my shoulder replaced, or my shoulder rotator cuff, I took codeines and very quickly became addicted to them because they gave me like, here's 200, like some ridiculous prescription number, and literally became addicted to them like almost immediately because they were so easy to take. It was like, okay. And yeah, I definitely had to wean myself off of them because I realized, I was like, oh my God, I'm freaking addicted to these things, and had enough wherewithal to know and stopped. But yeah, like so addicted, just takes over your brain. You're like, you could do that. And when I did have my shoulder surgery done for my rotator cuff, because my dislocated shoulder from so many times, and the last one falling down a flight of stairs, waking up with my arm above my head out of the socket, it was fun. When they gave me the drugs, I think they gave me I took one painkiller after the initial nerve blocker wore off, and that was the end. That's all I took. I took one and dealt with the pain. Didn't even take aspirin after that because it's like, no. I will never take painkillers like that again because I found that my personality was way too addictive for that. But 72,000 people OD'd in 2018. That's nuts. That's nuts. Prescription drugs. 2017 or 2019, 2017? Oops, sorry, it's out of order. 2017, Disney has 5 movies that gross over $1 billion. Toy Story 4, Avengers Endgame, Captain Marvel, The Lion King, and Aladdin. Haven't had that success repeated apparently, but that's insane if you think about that. That's a lot of money for a lot of movies, that some of them that I didn't think were that good. That's just me, just saying. And that was it. There was nothing that really happened, any great stuff that I really wanted to share because a lot of it had political stuff edges to it, and I just will refuse to go there. Again, why there was a jump from, 1635 to 1911. A lot of things missing in there because all of it's like, and we're horrible humans, and we're a terrible race, and we do terrible things to each other. Born on this day was Bobby Helm. Jingle Bell Rock. Jingle Bell, Jingle Bell, Jingle Bell Rock. Tom Johnston of the Doobie Brothers. Whoa, listen to the music. Tim Freeman of Switchfoot. Joe Jonas of the Jonas Brothers. Don't care. Mike Connors, who was Mannix in the show Mannix. Deborah Messy of Will and Grace, born on this day. Anthony Anderson of Blackish, also the barbecue commercials. Ben Affleck, his brother Casey just had a birthday recently, I believe. I like Ben in The Accountant. I think that was an interesting role for him to play in. The Accountant 2 came out, and I saw that too, but it wasn't as good as I didn't think as The Accountant. I'm interested to see Nobody 2. Bob Odenkirk, when he played Nobody, it was a very different role for him in my mind because, from Better Call Saul in Breaking Bad and then Better Call Saul. But before that, him as, he was a funny guy. The Tim and Eric show, and Bob Odenkirk was involved in a lot of that stuff. And it just it seems like a very interesting departure and evolution of his career path. Natasha Hestridge from Species. Jennifer Lawrence, born this day. And then the death. Now, this one I found to be interesting. Macbeth. Macbeth was a real person, I guess. I didn't realize that. I was like, wait, I guess, yeah, Macbeth is real. Macbeth died on this day. The anniversary of Macbeth's death. The real death of Macbeth. Not just the whole thing. This one I just found to be interestingly sad and ironic. Willie Post. He was the first person to solo navigate the world by plane. And how do you think he died? Yes, ironically, in a plane crash. I mean, bro, come on. You went around the world and made it, and then you die in a plane crash? Like, come on. That just seems Just sad and uneventful. You probably shouldn't have died that way. Just saying. Death by misadventure. And then Will Rogers, like the humanitarian, the guy, Will Rogers, like the original Will Rogers. Also hit the anniversary of his passing today. Sorry, I have a little horse in my throat. Nay. So tomorrow, I will not, I will make a show, but it won't be here. It won't be in the little studio, my little 7 by 8 foot space, because I'll be at the closing of Soulfest. So while tonight, when we got there, everything was set up, the booth and the banners and all that stuff, because they don't use contract people because it's a smaller event. Tomorrow, to save them some time when they have to break it down, the event will be done at 10 o'clock, but the very likelihood is that they're going to use us as contract people to help break down the event. Not as big a footprint as Jazz and Rib Festival, but still a city event. So there's lots of bike rack and tents and things that we'll need to help disassemble. I'm hoping to have 3 other people work with me that are contractors, which should be able to knock it out before midnight. But with the potential of that not happening, I don't know if I will make it back into this space before 12 tomorrow. So I may take my laptop with me and do a quick shot once again and just highlight some of the big things that I'll just do a little research maybe tonight or during the day for tomorrow night. Don't know. But I'll still be doing a show tomorrow night. It just may not be this. So we'll see what we can figure out. But I don't want to miss a day because then that would be, tomorrow's 77. It's lucky day, 77. Didn't hit the lottery, by the way. I did decide to play. And what the freak? I played the lottery. It was like $2. It was $5. I'm like, wait, I guess I'm not playing the lottery anymore. That seems very expensive. $5 seemed to be a great expense to do that. I was like, I'll go back to the classic lotto for $1. I can throw $1 here and there, but $5? I'm like, no way. That seems like an addiction. Let's avoid that if we could. Just saying. I think that's it. I don't know if I'm going to go work the Hardin County Fair. I'm debating it. So the Hardin County Fair is where I went a year ago, and I didn't talk about it much, but it's up in Hardin County, and that's where I would go to this demolition derby. But working at the fair was kind of, basically I stood at an entranceway and checked people in that had bought tickets, checked their wristband stuff, and it was just hot, long days, and I don't know if I want to do it again. I can make more money working construction than I can doing that. It was a nice, it was sort of in a hotel away. Got to use the swimming pool at night. But it was, so I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to do it or not. Also, that means I would miss the Ohio State season opener versus Texas. I don't know if I want to miss that. But I do want to go to the Demolition Derby. So I'm torn. If I can get a car for the Demolition Derby, this is one of those struggles in life that we have to deal with. Choices that we have to make. Do I go smash a car if I get my hands on it or not? If I do, I'm totally going. Just so you know, even if I had to drive up just for a friggin' day, I'm totally going to Demolition Derby it. That's just so you know. I've now determined that it has to happen at some point. Anyway, Friday, I totally thought it was Saturday because the festival threw me. So when I was like, wait a second, it's Friday, isn't it? And I don't have to work Sunday. I mean, I still have to work Sunday, which is going to be construction Sunday, but I don't have to do, the events. I'm like, oh, okay, so I actually could get up and have breakfast, maybe make myself an egg or 3. And Taylor ham. Ooh, Taylor ham, egg, and cheese. I've told you the story of Taylor ham. We'll have to go into that again because it's summertime and it's Taylor ham time, just so you know. Anyway, on that note, I'm going to depart, and I'm going to go eat some food since I really didn't eat since, 2 o'clock. So about 10 plus hours ago was my only meal of the day. And I could feel a little peckish. Just saying. Appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Thanks for coming by. Appreciate it, friends. We'll look for doing this again tomorrow, and I'll tell you all about Soulfest, because I may be at Soulfest. I don't know yet. I'm not there to say. If I think I'll get home, I will delay my gratitude, both my gratitude and my gratification to before midnight, and I'll try and do it from here. But I won't know that until I'm sort of there and getting close to 11 o'clock to see what my time frame is. So I probably won't post that. Be here, Flubby. That'll be great. I'll try and it'll be something on here, but it may not show that it's going to be here because of the fact that if I schedule it on here, I have to be on here, and it doesn't show the schedule if I do it on a laptop. Don pointed that out to me. For some reason, it doesn't, even though it's there, if I don't use this Black Magic setup and I don't use the whole stream thing, the stream key, it doesn't save it the same, which is kind of weird, but I guess that's the way it works. Who knew? Anyway, on that note, I'm going to take my lemon perfect original lemon water with 0 sugars and go make a snack. Thank you again. Appreciate you. Have a wonderful rest of your Friday night and an amazing Saturday. There is a race, I think, tomorrow. Is it tomorrow? Tomorrow, I think there's a race near downtown Columbus, so if you're going to be down there. Traffic, warning you now, street closures all over the place, so it's something. Half marathon, is that tomorrow or Sunday? Something. There's something tomorrow. I know there is, I believe. Anyway, enjoy. I'll see you soon. Appreciate you. Fade to black. Oh, I need to go to bed. Oh, I didn't end this. I didn't fade to black. Crap. Don't know what button I hit.